Hello, my name's Mike Pella. I'm a respected professional videographer and a reasonably good scuba diver. Recently, I decided to combine these pursuits by taking the PADI Underwater Videographer specialty class. I thought it was a pretty sure thing that I'd be good at it. After all, I've shot racing, horses, products, interviews, automotive, fashion. I've even managed a couple of decent underwater shots. Boy, was I wrong. Anyway, after an entertaining and informative classroom session, I was ready to dive. I showed up on the first morning, early and eager. As I watched the Jack's Diving Locker crew get the boat ready for the dives, my anticipation was building. My instructor was going to be impressed with my professionalism. By the way, my instructor, Jeff Leitcher, he has almost 14,000 dives, and he shot video on about 10,000 of them. I'm not sure why I thought I could do anything that would impress him, but I was confident in my abilities and ready to shoot. I watched as my fellow divers geared up, thinking to myself, I bet they wish they had an underwater video camera. My self-confidence was about to come to an abrupt end. Now, when you take this class, there's a basic package of shots that you're supposed to get, starting with other divers' entries. My failure to get that first shot started my downward spiral. Here's what I think I did wrong. First, my camera is negative, and I had too much weight and not enough air in my BCD to keep me well above the surface, and it couldn't seem to clear the front glass of water. I've learned that Rain-X helps with that. As an option, I was also told that the guys who shoot surfing just spit on the lens. I decided to look for an automotive department the next day. The next problem I ran into was based on my unfamiliarity with shooting underwater with my brand new, never been used wide-angle lens. While the rule of thumb is get close, shoot up, I discovered immediately that getting close enough to the fish to even get a shot just got harder with the wide angle. As a result, I was getting a lot of shots of fish swimming away. This became my best shot. And I didn't do much better at shooting from a low angle either. The option to getting close is to use the camera zoom. Some practice topside would have reminded me this camera has a touchy zoom, and it only gets worse when you add the housing's mechanical zoom control. Occasionally, after zooming to change my framing, I was able to get a decent, though unspectacular shot. The next issue I had was falling behind the rest of the dive group whenever I stopped to shoot something. As a result, my second best shot quickly became divers swimming away. And hey, I've seen open water, so I ended up doing a lot of catch-up swimming, burning up my air in the process. I should point out that one of the most common mistakes made is the accidental recording. Always make sure you've stopped recording before you swim away from your shot. By the way, if you need stock footage of accidental recordings for any reason, I have a lot of it available. On my second dive, I discovered one of the apparent shortcomings of acrylic housings: condensation. I had opened the housing to change the camera battery during the surface interval and ended up with a fogged lens. Day 2's dives were approached with the same anticipation. I know I'll be better today, I thought, and as a bonus, I would be diving with Keller Laros, intrepid dive guide and aspiring stand-up comic. Here was an opportunity to learn the world-famous shark puppet shot. I was pumped. As it turned out, my feeble attempts were no match for the master, and I failed to get the shot. Overall, I was only slightly better on day 2. I was getting more comfortable with the camera and my buoyancy. I had taken out some weight, and I even managed to be in the right place a few times. But my best shots were still fish swimming away and diver swimming away. Let me point out a few technical issues I had with my system. First, with a wide-angle lens, it's always a good idea to zoom just a little to avoid vignetting. See the black marks in the corners? And make sure the camera and lens are aligned properly. Otherwise, you'll get distortion and focus issues. The detachable lens creates an airspace between the lens and the housing that fills with water when submerged. This made getting the diver surfacing shot nearly impossible. Well, that is, unless you don't mind seeing the water drain out of the airspace. Oh yeah, remember to take off your color correcting filter before surfacing too. In general, Diving with a camera made me a worse diver. I fought with my weighting and buoyancy and used up my air at an alarming rate. Consequently, I spent the end of each dive bubble watching from my safety stop. But I learned a lot from watching Jeff and Keller work. I came away with a new respect for the process and the skill required to do it right. And I learned a few new jokes from Keller, so that's a plus. The moral of my story is this: the great ones make everything look easy. The next time you get back from a thrilling dive and your guide offers a DVD of the dive for sale, get out your MasterCard or Visa. And don't ever say, "I could have done that," because trust me, you can't. It takes skill, some talent, and a lot of practice. Thanks to Jeff and Keller, I've learned my lesson. And someday, I'll master the puppet shot.